Okay, so you would tell the viewers that what you do on your off time, off the clock, is your business.
It should be. It should be. That's the thing. There's nothing criminal. When you got to be careful with that, because obviously what I did, it wasn't criminal. And it wasn't
criminal.
It wasn't illegal.
It was moral, ethics, as far as the school's concerned, correct?
Correct.
So ask yourself, let me ask you this. What is your definition of moral character and moral hazard?
Well, I think when you think about morals, you want to make sure that you are not bringing harm to others.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you are holding yourself to a high standard, and you also then have those high standards for others. But you want to make sure that whatever choices you're making, other people aren't going to be harmed by them. So obviously, what I did,
it harmed people.
Yes, it harmed people.
That's moral hazard.
It is. It is.
Who did you share this before you decided to undergo? And let me first say, I know it takes a lot to come here and clear the air, but we don't filter. People need to know your side, and I'm going to ask the questions. I know that might be hard, and I'm sorry.
No.
At the same time, but and remember, this is judge free, so you need to listen. And I'm trying to ask her the questions I think the viewers would ask. I'm not trying to be hard or anything like that. You said a guy told you this. So you're having trouble in your house. You have a confidant, which is the guy friend. Why do you think he decided this just utterly blunt go to that, go do this? Because to me, if you're my friend and I see you're going through these things, the last encouragement I'm going to say is go do that.
I think he made it sound as if I had the potential to make money on there and I could do it. Like how are people going to know? He made it seem like, if you're not out there advertising this, how are people going to find out?
Why didn't you talk to your girlfriends?
I did. I talked to my two very dear friends. They were more, they didn't think it was a good idea. But the conversations focused more on the fact that this is what I'm feeling like I have to resort to protect my family financially.
There were no other alternatives in your town. I'm just trying to ask
sure.
what they would probably ask.
Alternatives to be able to bring in the kind of money I needed to bring in with only having to work maybe 45 minutes in a single day.
How many minutes was you putting into the adult industry?
That was it. 45 minutes in a single day. And then I could pull in easily just $100 in a night.
And that
$500 at the end of a week.
Let's go back to moral hazard and morals. When you looked at your kids, when you looked at the fact that you're in a lavish neighborhood, prestige neighborhood, your father anesthesiologist, your own family, none of that is registering in your mind that this can eventually cause more damage than a couple of $100?
No, I think I felt I was so desperate at the time to be able to save that roof over our head and that car in the garage. And I really, truly believed that because of the person, the work ethic I had, the reputation that I had, not just at the school, but obviously in the community too, and the people who knew me, nobody would ever think that I would be on a site like that. One, and then two, the likelihood of somebody being able to come across me on there was so slim that the risk of losing the house and the car, putting us in a really horrific situation, a lot of trauma as a family because of the financial strain, those risks were greater than the risk of me putting myself out there on an adult site.
So you was more concerned about keeping the image in your town, your name, the lifestyle,
I was more concerned about keeping my kids in the home that they were in, because my daughter was finishing school in a school system where there was going to be no way we would be able to afford to stay there if we just continued to rely on my income. We were going to have to sell that home. There was no apartment. There was no other places to live where we could have stayed so that she could have finished out her last 2 years of high school.